Okay, we're on.
We'll call to order this regular meeting of the Library Board of Trustees for December 11, 2019. And before we do other business, we have Mike Lubenhusen here. Sorry about that. My last name's Hockenauer. I should be able to pronounce it. Primary engineering. And Mike, did you have information?
Well, Mary asked me to attend tonight, I think, to walk through budget. I want to make sure I hit the topics rather than we talked. You just want me to?
Yeah, just kind of go over.
Okay.
And this is for the 2020 building project.
Okay. So just a quick recap of Summer's project is $350,000 total budget allowance for everything all included, including the design fees. And the scope of the project briefly is to paint pretty much most of the top floor of the building, recarpet most of the top floor, excluding the teen area, redo the circulation desk, and provide some of the functionality there. We'll replace carpet down here in the public meeting rooms, and then the experience center, which is the unfinished portion of the basement. We've got it broken into a couple of bid items as we worked through the design. We were working through cost estimates, working with suppliers and vendors and some contractors just to gauge numbers. And the last budget that we presented to Mary indicated that everything all included, including the basement experience, we were projecting that we would see bids come above that threshold of the 350 total. So based on that, we made a recommendation to create some alternate bid items with a base scope of work and a couple of alternate bids. And so the base scope of work is all of the interior refinishing work on the main floor and carpeting down here. And then
The bathrooms too.
in the bathrooms, I did forget, we're going to refinish the bathrooms, put some new plumbing fixtures, replace the exhaust fan to pull more exhaust out of the rooms specifically. And that is all in the base scope of work. And our current estimate as designed for construction bid would be 285 is the number we're expecting. And then add alternate number one for the experience center. We're currently estimating that at $76,000, which has come down from the last time we talked. We continue to refine what we call the as designed estimate, which is what's on the drawings. We had initially thought that might be closer to 100. So we've got some refinement. So we're anticipating that around 76,000, and then the new office, which would be adjacent to the current lobby space outside of that unfinished area, it's about $24,000. So those are two optional items that will still allow you to receive a bid, be below your threshold, and have the option if you really have good competitive bids. We're hoping that you get good numbers and you have the option to take those two items. But in the current bid market, we've seen material costs have been going up. Some of it's due to tariffs, quite honestly. Anything made out of metal, it's got circuit boards, copper, steel, all of that stuff, light fixtures, it's all going up. And we're getting notices on a weekly basis from manufacturers, specifically January 1's a target date that they're all heading for an additional price increase. So that's affected some of it. The labor market is also affecting us. People are busy. And so I think that's where we've seen some of the escalation. But we do feel base bid, we will get you in below your threshold, so we will definitely have a project. It's just whether or not the bids are really competitive enough to get you the entire thing. So that's where we sit with budget estimate and kind of the project scope. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. We've got a set of the drawings and specifications on the back table, I see. So if we need to open them up and point and look at things, we can do that. Pretty much here for your questions.
We had a pretty good, decent turnout at the pre-bid meeting, so there appears to be interest in the project, which that's always my fear. nobody wants to take our word.
We have
you
a
know?
strong interest. I think we had 5 general contractors, which is great for the project. And as I remember, we talked about trying to schedule this project to be a good winter project. As painters always look for things to do during the wintertime. Carpet layers look for things to do during the wintertime because nobody wants to work outside. And so this is a good winter interior remodel. And so I think we've got good interest. We're getting questions from all 5 teams, so I know that they're engaged in putting a bid in.
Anybody have any questions in mind?
All the bidders from Fort Wayne.
I believe 4 of them are. I believe there's a group from this local vicinity. I don't recall their name, but we did have some group in the local area as far as the general contractor. As far as their subcontractors, can't say who will pull in for subs, but the 4 of them are from local. It's Streaming, Shawnee, kind of blank of the 3 there. Remember right off the top of my head. Don't recall the other 2.
So are we good?
Any other questions for Mike, or anybody want to walk through some of the plans or anything like that, or just at your own pace?
Bids out, so can you wait and see?
When do the bids come in? The 19th, 2:00 PM, they're due.
Yep.
This month,
Yes.
next week.
Yep.
Yes, next week already. I guess it is.
A couple days after that, it'll be the 20th.
And then there will be a recommendation at the January meeting, probably.
Correct.
Yeah, we wanted to get the bids before the Christmas holiday because everyone just disappears. And it's hard to get things bid after about the 20th. Just wait for 2 weeks.
At that point, we can decide options or reject all the bids.
Exactly.
They will come in crazy. Questions? All right.
Thanks for coming in, Mike.
Thanks for coming. You're welcome to stay if you want to hear the rest.
I might go next door and get
Yeah.
Smells good. Yeah.
Yeah, get the crop
And you can
pots.
always watch the meetings on our website.
Yeah.
All right, well, have a good evening.
Thanks. Have a good holiday.
You too.
All right, and with that, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to approve or take action upon the minutes for the November 13th, 2019 meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept them as presented.
Move to accept the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
I second the
Seconded. Is there discussion? None. All in favor of approving the minutes of November 13th, 2019 meeting as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. I did review them real quickly. This would be one of the few meetings I hadn't reviewed them before I came in. Yes, I just did. I saw that little tidbit in this. Teach me not to miss a November meeting. I used to know that. I used to know that. Then go to reports. That's primarily the director's report.
So I'll start with the Friends of the Library. They had a meeting on December 4th. I'm seeing what they are actually really doing a big job in that room by trying to clear out all the books that haven't sold in the last 2 sales. So we've had an issue with Discover Books coming out to get the books because they're backlogged, and we just keep giving them more and more. And we do keep getting quite a bit of donations still. So, and Katie's doing some weeding, so it's just like, you've got books everywhere. But anyways, that's getting much better. They're looking at doing their next sale. They want to do it a little differently so that they can have community service workers help them with setup and tear down. So they're looking at doing it on a Tuesday evening, like from 3 to 7, and then having it on a Wednesday morning from 9 to 1. They're still working on that because they have to find out for sure if they can get the community service workers on the dates that they want. And then the next sale will again be during Old Settlers, so there'll be one in March, and then probably one in May, and then one at Old Settlers. So, and that's all I have
questions regarding the friends? And director's report.
So in the director's report, I talked about our 2020 closure. What I would like to do next year, instead of having 2 staff development days that basically I'm in charge of with the building project and a lot of things going on, what I'd like to do is actually close on April 8th. It's a Wednesday, so that the staff can attend a regional ILF, Indiana Library Federation conference. It'll be at the Ivy Tech School in Elkhart County. And I have to have your approval to do that. I think it runs us about $40 per staff member, so it'd be about an $800 bill. But it does usually in mileage, but it does include a lunch, and it actually would be cheaper than what I've done when I've had 2-day long, because we pay for lunch and we pay for a speaker sometimes, whatever. So I just want to do something different, and I need your approval to close on April 8th. So it's Wednesday,
Just one day.
just the one day.
Discussion. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we close the library on April 8th for staff development.
Do you need authorization for those expenditures, or are those already in your budget?
Sure.
Okay. Move to go ahead and authorize the closure of the library on April 8th, 2020 for purposes of allowing the entire staff to attend ILF vocational training in Elkhart. Is there a second? Second, is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of authorizing the closure on April 20th, on April 8th, 2020, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That would be our board meeting day. We're still having a board meeting, and I'll still be in the building. So, yes, it is a board meeting day.
Okay, so I'll have to use the special bond to get in.
I'll have all kinds of things ready for you.
Okay.
So, I'm planning on being here so that we can still do, Impact has the computer classroom. And there was something else going on that I knew I needed, well, the building project, I knew we needed for that too. So, I'll probably have the back door unlocked for you. So, but I'll let you know. Okay, the boilers.
At least they're new.
I think you're right, John. I think there's a dark cloud, and I don't think it's the building. I'm beginning to think it is me. Anyways, when the boilers are tested, they're tested for winds that are as high as 45 miles per hour. There was actually 60-day winds on the day before, or a couple days before. At any rate, Mike said that he had gotten calls from other places where the pilots had been out. Now, we were fortunate the command boiler was fine and operating, and it was able to keep the building warm. It's just the others were locked out, and I couldn't reset them, and I'm just like, no, wait a minute, these are new, this shouldn't be happening. The other thing they're gonna do is I'm gonna be on a mailing alert, email alert, so that when something like that happens, I'll get notification before the building starts to get colder, so I can get on it right away. And that, I have not heard from Corey if that's happened yet, but I'm letting you know I'm gonna try to take care of that, so I can be on it faster than I was. Cyber insurance, I did get a quote. I think we had talked about it a couple months ago, and then because it was because I knew we couldn't pay for it for this year, for 2019, I'd asked him to send me a more updated quote for 2020. And I think Tony and Jamie had talked about it, but I didn't know if you shared information with the whole group about your thoughts on the cyber insurance. It is a big issue on library listservs, and more libraries are going to purchase cyber insurance. So I didn't know if you wanted to.
And have a meeting. resistance to doing that. And just
Okay.
have some coverage. What I was more looking at is how can we prevent any of that from happening, and what are our risks? What is it that we're risking damage? So that's what Jamie and I talked about, really, not whether we need insurance, but what
Okay.
can we do not to even have a claim?
Right.
And so, and she did some things, and we're doing everything we can, so, but that's still, there's still some risk. So, are we covered for anything now as part of other insurance?
Yes, but it isn't quite as comprehensive as what was proposed in here.
And I guess then, what do we expect the possible damages to be? You know, I saw the numbers for the cost of the insurance. How much would the cost of the outage be, or to reconstruct?
I would not know.
Yeah, I guess at that point, if there's a disaster, anything coming in helps. How much do you want to pay for? How much could we pay for?
Let me ask you this question, what does it really cover?
And I was curious about that too. How do you prove you had all your stuff's gone, you know? You don't have anything to show.
Well, the other thing, I guess,
Well, you said
probably
backups
this
and
is a
stuff
better
before,
conversation.
Right, but if you have a virus that
Eats it all.
it doesn't activate for 18 months down the road. That's way into backup cycles, and all of those have the same virus. So you can't restore to anything that's not effective.
Don't say I'm putting a new firewall in today.
I mean, we have a lot of
There's-
precautions already.
Whatever.
We're doing a lot of.
Yeah, yes, you are, and that's what we talked about, how to prevent that.
I just don't know how you quantify it.
No matter what steps you take, there'll always be some clever.
Step ahead of you.
But what, other than just creating mayhem, what benefit do they get from, you know, they're not gonna get a lot of money or out of the light. I don't know if are
Did they
we
get their bank accounts?
Well, that's pretty protected.
Yeah, and it's not.
But that would be my major concern right there. That would be the one that I'd be afraid of.
That's true, and there is substantial
Correct.
gain from that, if they could trigger transactions or something.
Isn't that insured already for man?
I would think so.
FDIC.
Well, whatever they
I think we already have that bank, though, but it's not the bank's fault, it's coming from, I'm not sure.
Right, and the other part you need to remember too is Evergreen, Indiana is, you know, that patron information is on their server.
That's true. It's more like a privacy.
Social securities or driver's license or?
It's got, you know, when you put it in, it changes that, so there's protection that way too. But I'm limited, I guess what I'm saying is because patron information would be my concern as well as the bank account. I feel like those are covered, but I don't know how much control I would have on the breach of this Indiana, Evergreen, Indiana. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not, and I have contacted them, this was been 2 or 3 years ago, about them having coverage for that, and that I felt like that should come out of the money we pay to be a part of the consortium. And I sort of got laughed out of the room, so, but that was a couple of years ago, so.
It kind of seems like, though, in this times, that if we say, no, we don't need any kind of cyber insurance, that's kind of seems,
Yeah.
it's a little naive.
Someone would have to explain this to me though, because I don't, how do you report it, how do you prove it, what do you get
And what I
back?
could do is, if you'd like, I can always have Mark come in and share information about it.
I'm hearing a lot of questions about what does this cover that
What does
other
it cover?
insurance doesn't. And it's not a nominal premium either.
No, it
There's
is
a
not.
couple of quotes there.
Oh, you got 2,000.
2,400.
So, you know, I don't know.
Well, I can always ask him to come on in the next meeting.
Who is the,
Mark.
Don't say we don't need it, just say we're thinking about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry.
No, I don't, oh, okay. We should be thinking about it probably.
Well, so I guess let's set for him to come in
We
next
need
year
to
and
probably hear more.
Okay, not a problem.
we'll hit him with all of these questions about
So
what it covers
think
if the other stuff doesn't.
Jamie's doing, and the library's doing what they can to prevent that, but. So you do that when you drive too, but you still have accidents.
so the premiums aren't so much that it would be something that we would have to budget for it a year, I mean, you could decide.
Well, the budget is tight next year, you know, but I can always move money if we feel it's a priority. So, okay.
Hey, Mary, how many other libraries have, you know?
I know that I belong to a listserv where there's 20 libraries, and I'll say probably 15 of them do have nature. Yes,
Bigger libraries or small or?
they're
Similar to-
small libraries like us.
If you know of anyone who's had to make a claim.
I know that Northwestern had their email taken. I don't know if they had to claim that. But that's kind of close to us.
Okay. You said their email taken, somebody sort of hijacked.
Hijacked the email.
That, frankly, to me, sounds like an IT issue that they probably have to turn. They should have been more secure.
Could have been more protected.
Yeah. Because
Because
that.
here goes 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, yes. But, okay. All right, well, we'll have Mark come in later on and talk more about that. And then,
Password was passed.
speaking of controls and security,
I did give you I think we have an action later on for the internal controls. So I'll just pass over that. The lights, just so you know, there's a panel in there that controls all the lights in the building, and the panel is 20 years old. There's cards that will actually protect or help certain sections of the library, and those cards are not made anymore. So we have some extras. I think there was 3 extras in there, and so far we've had used 2 of the replacement cards for the sconces in the here, and then upstairs when half the lights went out in the adult services department. So what we'll have to do, I'm letting you know, we're gonna have another expenditure coming along so that we can replace this lighting control panel with newer.
If we put a couple more.
Well,
Cards.
yeah, well,
What's the?
I have one more card left.
Right, so we're close to doing that. Do we have any idea how, what that costs?
No, I didn't ask him for a quote. He and her just trying to.
these aren't 50-year-old fixtures.
I know, it seemed 20 for electric.
Technology has changed.
Is that?
Yeah,
Since
but-
1999, it's all different LEDs, I mean, the whole 9 yards.
You know, there again, it's all the work that we had with electric. Thousands of dollars we spent. Why they coming towards age? Panels getting old, you better think about changing it, waiting till the last minute. And then, in lieu of doing this else, I think we should get a quote from them
Okay,
to see what it would take to do it right.
okay. I will do that.
And it's possible with the quotes we're getting, we won't be able to do
Well, that's what I'm saying.
all the things we want to do, but it's enough to
Might be a good
do a
idea.
panel.
Close.
Okay. I don't know if I have this as an action item on the agenda, Greg, but I am gonna ask that we increase our meeting room usage up $5.
Yes.
So in 2018, we had 1,081 programs, meaning people used our meeting rooms. We had 17,652 people attend. So far this year, we have 1,389 programs or meeting room usages, but the attendance is down. It's 16,013. So more people are using the rooms with less people coming. Does that make sense? As far as money, in 2018, we collected $6,665. And this year so far, $6,085. Now this is for the total year, and this is just through November. The other thing I want to remind you is our lit proportions are going down, so our allocations are smaller. I also am a little leery about, we get LST grant funding for the internet, and although that's remained static from last year to this year, at one point, when I first started, we were getting about $12,000 for internet. It's now down to about $9,000. So that's going down as well. $5 is really not that much. Our rents are very inexpensive, in my opinion. So is it a separate action on their, Greg, or can we do it now?
I think
Okay.
you put it in as the policy manual, right? So I think we just pass that as part of the approval.
Okay, okay, sounds good.
Let me ask this, why can't we raise it to 10?
We could, but I think people will,
There's no
That'll
place
be-
around that you can get anywhere that I know of, $30. Furnishing lights, get your facilities, your bathrooms, et cetera, everything. Arcade.
you want me to, we can go higher. I just thought 5 would be a little bit more palatable for the customers that use the rooms, but I'm.
How long has that been, 20?
Pardon me?
How long has that been, 20?
I actually lowered the room rates when I came, so since 2012, well, I came in 2011, but 2012. Because I think they were $50, computer classroom like $150, the auditorium was like $150, but I don't think.
And
that
now it's
people-
20?
We went down because people weren't really using it. I wanted people to come in.
Yeah.
You want to approach.
And so,
I don't think $30 will break the ground.
okay.
It's up to
I mean, it's up to you
Is
guys.
that a motion?
Yeah, I think it.
Okay. Anybody want a second?
I'm comfortable as, not much difference, right? I'm comfortable at 25, and then the next year, raise it again if we want. Of course, I won't be able to, but. I didn't mean it, well, God.
All right, if there's no second, then we won't worry about it, we'll just pass this. Fine.
What about
People would be bothered by 30
some
either,
rooms
but-
raise more?
It seems like a bargain.
Yeah, I mean, I would second that. I
Okay,
think-
well, we can talk about it some more, we got a motion and a second now, so. It doesn't mean it's a second. It doesn't mean it's a second.
I think
I
it's
can't
bargain.
leave $5 and keep them.
I don't think so either, but.
Because we have
Can't let
a history of it now that people know about
And they
it.
can have it up to
Do you
4
have
hours.
something that has what the room rates?
Yeah, it's in, you should have gotten a copy of the policy manual.
I-
I
yeah,
try
but
to
I
get
don't-
people to not come in on
I
Saturdays,
have
so
to print all that off
everybody
myself,
else
so I would print all the,
just come in anyway. So.
There you go.
because it
There's
seems like,
proof of
some of
Because
the
I didn't
smaller
want to put
rooms,
extra
maybe you
staff and
can.
everything on a
Well,
Saturday.
the smaller rooms are less.
Hey, how
This
many
room
guys
is
you call on
15
Saturday and
each
Sunday
one.
to do something?
Saturday's 10,
They say,
15.
this time and a half.
But if we raise it 10, that seems like.
If you want to fly an airplane at the right time of year. I don't know, if $30 would make a difference between 25. I don't really have
It
a
would
strong
in our, it
opinion.
would in our.
It's on page 29.
These are the new rates. So $5.
So 20, it was, so is that, so then Mary, if that would be 30, that would be an auditorium 1, and auditorium 2 would be 30.
Auditorium 1 would be 30, auditorium 2 would be 30. Probably the whole thing would then, instead of being 60, it would be 70.
Page 29.
And I'm totally going, Margaret has my paper, so I don't know.
It's an attachment,
Okay.
it's the attachment of the policy. It starts off page 10, and it's the pages to put the policy in. And then of those, it's page 29. That lists the fee schedule. So it's 25, 25, so that'd be 30, 30, 70, community room A would be 30. Community room B, which is this one,
Would be 25.
25. Computer classroom, 85. Or we could.
No, well, if we're doing as Don requested, it would be 90.
It's-
Well, no, you're right, 85,
It-
$10 more than what it was, so, yes, you're right.
Well, and we don't have to raise them all. If you think that some of these, study room would be,
Study room was 10,
okay.
and then we put it up to 15. But you've got to remember, that is a pretty tiny room.
I was gonna say that.
So
one,
you
you'd
say
probably
some of
just
the
leave it at
smaller
15.
ones,
Yeah.
maybe raise 5 and
Because
the
that's a
bigger
big percentage
ones.
you have to increase.
Right, that is a big
It doesn't
percentage.
really seem proportional to get 20 for the little study room and only pay 25 or 30 for the auditorium, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just one part, but that's a lot. So maybe we need to just
Well,
kind
what,
of rethink those.
and again, it was Don's motion, but what Mike was suggesting was that, auditorium 130, auditorium 230, all three auditorium rooms were 70, community room A 30, community room B 25, computer classroom 85, and to leave the study room 15. Don, does that sound reasonable?
Sure.
Because you've already
Which
increased
rooms are
it
used the
like-
most, Mary?
These here,
These.
I would say, well, the auditorium's used a lot too,
Yeah.
but I would say A and B are used the most.
Okay, so Don and Mike, that's okay. Is there some discussion, anybody, I mean, Mary, do you think this is going to greatly discourage the use, or with inflation, do you think we're able to do this? Are there reoccurring users enough that there's going to be some sticker shock?
I think there's gonna be sticker shock.
$5 or $10? Well, you know what, to me personally, and they can go find something as comparable as this, as nice as this, and they'll be back.
I just think, I mean, I'm just being honest with you, I think they're gonna.
What's a group
Because
that you
if you're
might-
going up $10, that's a
Which is
50% increase, right?
25%?
The
If you're
group
going up,
said,
if it was 20 and you went up 10,
Oh, okay.
33%.
that's, yeah. That's what
the groups that use it on a recurring basis, is it like usually once a month, or is it every week? or-
Okay, now, recurring groups are generally nonprofits. We have a lot of people that use us on the weekends for parties.
Oh, okay, so they don't repeat.
Well, they do, I mean, they might keep coming back and using us, for family reunions or
Or your
parties or whatever.
utilities are gonna go up again, city, so they're gonna be increasing.
You're doing carpeting and everything, and your other income's coming down. Unemployment is at.
It'll be close,
3%.
non-municipal for a while.
I mean, if you're ever gonna do it, the economy is about as good as it's gonna be.
Good point.
Like I said, the city's sitting there thinking about
Not gonna make that till
water, sewer,
But
light.
you're right, it could.
Well, then let's, nobody's called the question, we'll go ahead. I'll call the question if there's no further discussion. Is there further discussion? Okay, the motion has been, as I read it, to actually increase beyond what was recommended. Again, 30, I'm just going down that line of things, 30, 30, 70, 30, 25, 85, 15 with the study room that was recommended. There's been a motion to.
So
approve.
not a blanket 10, but these.
Right,
Okay.
it's, so that, did you need my notes on that, or do you need me to?
I'm getting it.
Okay. There's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to modify that, to the recommendation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And that means, well, we can still vote on the policy, I guess that would be an exception, we just change the pages.
Right,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you, Mary. And we are still doing your report, are we not?
Yeah, however, some of these things that we're gonna be going, the policy manual will be going over, salary schedule. Do I have it as, I have it as a separate action.
Yeah, we've got, well, we
Policy
have a
manual.
motion.
The State Board of Account financial statement review, did you have any questions from me about the final word we got from them? And then the roadmap, or the strategic plan, strategic roadmap, we have to, I have to have action on that as well, so. I guess I'm done with my report.
All right. And after the director's report, we're down to the nominating committee report from the last meeting. The slate recommended apparently by the nominating committee, the entire board president survey as the nominating committee nominated the slate of officers for 2020 as me for president, Beth Bloom for vice president, Respectable as treasurer, Mike Porter as secretary. Are there any other nominations?
I'll make the motion that we, pass it.
We move that we approve the recommended slate and designate those as the officers for next year. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded by two people who aren't on that slate. Any discussion?
No,
They're all leaving.
Everybody's, did you realize
It
that?
was like
Greg?
wraps off a ship.
Everybody's leaving, so.
There are only 4 left in the technical office.
That's.
Guess we'll be
I
really-
have been dodging a bullet for a while. And I just, yeah, so that's fine. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The officers, slate of officers are approved for next year. The policy manual, again, I'll draw your attention back to that. That says Peabody Public Library in the upper left-hand corner, and starts off with page 10. These are just pages that have been, these are
Right.
just the pages that have been altered. Some folks have a red line edition. I do not print mine in color, so mine is not red line. But
I'll just go through.
Mary,
it.
would you
That's
mind?
okay?
Yes.
Okay, so on page 10, the only thing we're adding is Peabody Public Library staff make the final determination on what constitutes disruptive or inappropriate behavior. That is just an addition. Then on pages 11, 12, 13, 14, 14. This was me, the emergencies policies, they were not in alphabetical order. So because I'm a librarian, that was making me crazy. I put everything in alphabetical order, but there was no change in content. Okay, then on page 19, we wanted to be consistent with what we're calling non-resident card. Sometimes we refer to it as subscription, but it's actually supposed to be a non-resident card, so we put that in there. Then Katie and I both worked on this, and she went through and just updated the language for circulation policy. So page 19 goes on to page 20. She added different language for the fines and fees, and we would strike what was there. Okay, on page 21, it says on number 7, there is no postage charge for ILL material. Well, that's not true, so we're going to take that out. On page 23, we were adding information about programming that we can do on the wetlands, and then information on our program parameters. So again, additional information. Page 24, I just kept publicity to a minimum because we're going from having Katie DeWitt doing our marketing to doing it internally, but that's going to change hopefully once we get our building project, so we can maybe get Katie back. But I wanted it just to be simple, so that's why I changed it. Peabody Public Library sponsored events shall be publicized by the marketing personnel. Striking out everything else except for that very last statement. On page 24. Page 27, I believe there's an addition, making sure people understand that they're responsible for setting up and tearing down the meeting rooms. Review the fee schedule for the meeting rooms. And then we added additional, I can't read it, I'm reading so far from here. It's okay. We just added clarification, my staff wants clarification, so.
On page 29,
Yes.
there was an autocorrect that inserted a copyright sign instead of a C from the 5013C.
Oh, okay,
Just-
well, we
that's-
can fix that.
And I only know that because that happens
Okay,
to me sometimes.
all right, on page.
Mary, can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah,
When somebody reserves something a year in advance, you don't take any down payment or anything?
they have to pay within 7 days of the date of the time they make the reservation.
reservation.
So they have to pay for it in order to hold the room.
Okay, Mary, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Page 30, liability, well, first of all, please remember that no refunds are issued. I just wanted to reiterate that. The liability clause about the equipment. Teleconferencing fees. We really don't do that anymore, but we want people to understand if they want to do something special, they're going to have to pay for it. And then security, if they want to have us, I don't know when that would ever happen, but if somebody would choose to have security or they felt like they need to have security, it would be on them to pay for that as well. We just updated the youth services computer policy. First of all, it's not children's services anymore, it's youth services, and then we just made it pretty much the same policy that we use for the adults, so. Page 34, we're taking out the international fax. We don't charge $4 for an international fax. Anymore, people scan and email, so, but people still use our fax. Uh-huh. On page 38, I did just change name and addresses to name, address, and phone for all persons involved in any kind of a library incident. And then page 39, again, I put it on there that you're responsible to set up and tear down all tables and chairs being used.
Mary, did you say that is the name of the children's department changed, or is it?
We call it youth services. I combined, so.
Youth services
So-
is teen and children's?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and Mary's the youth services librarian because she does both, not the
Okay.
children's librarian.
Okay.
So those are the changes we made, and I need your approval for those changes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the changes.
I have a question about.
Sure.
I didn't realize this, I must have seen this before, but our borrowing limit is $100.
Yes.
That ought to be enough.
100 DVDs, bring back 80.
Now, some things are limited, like
Yeah.
DVDs aren't 10, but yes.
Okay, it has been moved that we approve the changes proposed with the exception of the community rooms fee schedule that we had already noted. Is there a second? Moved and seconded, discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve the other changes as proposed, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, Mary, there you go.
Thank you very much.
And now we are to the internal controls policy, which I think I've got it put together with the checklist and everything else, but I think is the thing that says minimum uniform internal control policy standards.
Right.
Okay.
Here.
Mary, would you quickly walk us
Sure,
through that?
I will. This document you have seen very often, it's pretty much the same document we've always done. I don't believe I've made any changes. We did have an issue with the DVDs, which was reported to the State Board of Accounts, and then it was reported to the Columbia City Police Department. So, and we are monitoring that again. But the policy itself hasn't changed. I don't believe anything on the checklist has changed. So therefore, the assessment is pretty much the same that it was last year. But I still would like your approval for 2020.
Questions of Mary regarding the internal controls, the assessment checklist? Hearing none, I would entertain the motion to approve the internal controls policy for 2020 as proposed.
I'll make a motion that we approve the internal control standards, internal control assessment and checklist.
Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the internal controls, standards, policies, checklist, assessment, signified by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Those are approved. Strategic plan. Mary, again.
Okay.
Give us some highlights.
First of all, you'll note that I did put the new mission statement at the very top of the document. So it's connecting people and inspiring ideas. The values and beliefs, that we've just made it simpler to read. And actually, this was not my work. This was work of the continuous improvement team was headed by Christy Witt this year. We have representatives of line staff for each department on that committee, and they worked on this for us. The vision statement, I updated it, or they updated it a little bit more or differently than it was. I kind of like that they added a community of readers, learners, doers, and dreamers. So that was changed. Then we had to change a couple of things. I added that we already have a really strong outreach program. And then, of course, they wanted to keep the same goals that we had, and they just changed the date. Under goal number 1 for the public tax funds, we just get everything in kind of a lump. It's called local income tax. It's not split out, CAGIT, PTRC. So we made those changes. We struck out the sentence about the DECO Foundation because that was awarded back in 2015, and this is an updated policy. Again, it's just very simple changes about updating you guys about tax allocation changes. I am on goal 2, which is page 5. It's, again, pretty self-explanatory what we're striking out and what we're putting in. The competency classes have changed because Beth is no longer overseeing that, I am. So we had to change the language to reflect that. On page 6, when we talk about technology and train and skill, we struck out the old information. What's kind of cool about this is J, K, and L are things we accomplished. So, and then under network services, again, striking out, putting in different language, and then the things we've already accomplished have been struck out. If we go to page 7, on the infrastructure, again, there's things, the roof, we have that done. The unfinished basement area, we're hoping maybe, who knows. The carpet obviously is going to be replaced in 2020. Under goal 3, evaluating the comprehensive marketing plan, which that's changing again because we're not going to be using Katie, we're going to be doing it internally, so I have to update all of that information. And this just, we're not at 2017 anymore. It's a new, so I had to change dates. They added a couple more goals for us, so to increase the use of social networking shares by 5% annually, and then they thought we should increase the number of registered cardholders by 10%. goal 4, again, striking out language, adding new, to update it. And then on the very last page, they have explore new library services, and these are the things they thought that we should do and add it to our strategic roadmap for goals as far as increasing library services. And I know I went over that really fast, but.
Oh, curbside pickup.
They're, you know how you go to the grocery store and you go, they're thinking we should look into doing that.
Okay, so like you would check out a book online and then it just drives through and they hand it to you, or?
That, or you call us and we would get your list of books and check them out to you and then run them out to your car when you get here. So.
You're not gonna drive through the window.
You know, I was wondering how come with the original building they didn't get a driveway? Do you know when?
I don't think it was even thought about.
Oh, okay.
Not that I ever remember
Okay.
getting brought up.
We do have a
drive-through,
drive
like,
up.
to drop the
Right.
book off.
Well, but you can drive up to the.
Right, to the box.
Well, there's a box out on the parking lot.
Right.
Well, okay.
That's the
yeah,
drop
yeah.
off.
No, that's not a bad idea. I'm not sure everybody would take advantage of it, or the same people would take it. One person might take advantage of it sometimes, but that's not a bad idea to have that. People are in a hurry.
Or handicapped people.
Or handicapped people, yeah, it might, yeah.
For that, yeah.
More accessible. And people who would normally be homebound, but can get in a car. Other questions for Mary about that? Mary, just a quick note, it just jumped out at me, and I haven't caught it before, but under values and beliefs, it says the library several times, and it's not capitalized, and then several, and I think it means the proper amount of the Peabody Public Library, and then several other times, usually the usage of the library then throughout is capitalized. So I don't think it needs to be changed, but, and then sometimes it says PPL as opposed to the library, so maybe.
Consistent.
Yeah, maybe,
Okay.
maybe for the 2021. Yeah. Anyway,
No, I can make those changes.
oh, okay. But just, yeah, the style as to how this building, this particular one. Other questions or comments? Mary? Hearing none, aside from that suggestion, I would entertain a motion to approve the strategic plan as proposed with possible stylistic changes referred as to how the Peabody Public Library is referred to in the document.
Oh, so
Okay? It's moved. Is there a second? You don't have to repeat anything. All in favor of approving the strategic plan as proposed with the stylistic changes suggested, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. The passes, those are approved. Finally, I think it's the very end of the package. There would be about 3 pages. The resolution to approve the amended organization compensation plan for 2020. Mary, could you give us some highlights? We've discussed this already, right?
You saw this back in July or June, July when I was working on the budget, and we'd already talked about doing a 2% increase. This is the formal document that I need to share with you. I am taking recommendation from the State Board of Accounts to strike the names of the staff out and put their position in instead.
Oh,
And, sorry, I'm talking and you guys aren't ready to record.
okay, you got it. Okay, go on, sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
We're just trying to get everybody literally on the same page.
Okay, so what I've done, what we have to include on this document is the actual salary schedule, which is a part of the personnel manual, certification requirements, certification levels, and they also said we have to include a statement about employee benefits. And you can put a statement in just like I have saying basically if they have benefits, they are listed in the policy manual. This is a list of all of our employees, their salaries that they made in 2019, the salary that they will be making in 2020. The total amount is down here. They are not listed by name but by position, and this was upon recommendation of the State Board of Accounts. The final page, and then is where you would sign. So I do need the salary schedule approved. I will entertain any questions.
And I think we had gone over this earlier when we tweaked this throughout the year, so, and this is consistent with all that, there's nothing new.
No, there's nothing.
Are there any questions on the floor? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution regarding the amended organization and compensation package plan. So moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the document entitled Resolution to Approve the Amended Organization Compensation Plan 2020. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is approved, and there will be an original document coming around for us to sign on the left-hand side, since everybody voted aye.
Last time.
Finally.
I know you won't have to do this anymore.
Monthly claims, give you an opportunity to review those, and if there are questions for Mary, when somebody is ready, I would entertain a motion to approve that.
That's for some, oh, that's just, oh, this whole thing.
That's
Mary,
for Tony.
are there any highlights or anything on the claims that you wanted to?
There should be the final bill from PDP. I thought we had finally paid them, but they were holding off payment until everything was completed on the boiler project.
Oh, that was the last
So-
payment on the old project, not
The new one. No, this is
we
the
haven't
old.
paid him anything on the.
Correct.
14,000.
Correct.
Are there any other questions on items of claims? Or of these expenses? Okay. Hearing none, would entertain a motion to approve the claims as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Moves, is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the claims as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes, claims are approved. Is there further business?
I did want to remind everybody, staff recognition is Monday. It's at 5 p.m. from 5 to 6. If you can be here, fine. If you can't, I totally understand. But
16th?
the 16th.
Do you need to know
From
ahead of
5.
time if we're gonna be here or not?
Well, no, I'll just leave, you know. I usually have you guys help me pass out things. If you're not here, I can do that. So, okay, well, it's from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if you can be here, fine. If you can't, that's fine. I know you're working. That's fine.
I could be.
Oh, that's great.
Is my last one?
Two things to sign usually,
There should be. I thought I gave you
Yeah.
The other one moved in, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
I always say
that needs to be
one.
sent back.
And then the other thing is, we will be hiring 2 or 3 interns using the money from the grant that we received to do the digitization project. And I just wanted you to know that because we will advertise for the positions. They're temporary internships. And that's it.
Very good. Any other business? Hearing none, I would entertain the motion to adjourn.
I can certainly do that.
I think that you could.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Did you say you were coming to this now? Did you say that? Did you say you were coming to this? Yeah. Okay, great.
Unfortunately, that is prime one, my mom at the nursing home. I may try to get here a little late, but if it's going to be done by 6, that's usually about the time I'm getting out.
Can't come in, but.
Did we adjourn? Am I
Yes.
supposed to? Okay.